Hello, Alexander here. In my last video I've described the 2 and a 3 position controller with and without hysteresis. Today I'd like to show you how to implement these two in Simulink, the Matlab tool. So we'll start off with a source, which will be sine wave, just to get changing input. Now for a 2-position controller, we get this relay. Basically, it's our 2-position controller, which can be set with or without hysteresis using these switch on and switch off points. The first thing we will do is a 2-position controller without hysteresis. So we just leave the switch on and switch off point to 0. And then we just want some things, scope, to illustrate the function of the controller. So we'll use max to show our sine wave and relay state in one scope. Let us connect it. Okay, now let's see what happens when we run it. We can see that with moving sine wave, let me just show the legend. Okay, the yellow line is our sine wave and the blue is a state of a relay, our 2-state controller. We can see that on input 0, the controller is on. And it's on until our input reaches 0 again, then it switches to the 0 state. And then again, after our sine wave input reaches 0, our relay state goes on. Now let's change our switch on point to, let's say, 0.5 and switch off point to minus 0.5, which gives us hysteresis equals 1. Apply, okay, let's run it again. We can see now that when the input starts at 0, our relay is in state 0 until it reaches 0.5. Then it switches itself on and is on until our input reaches minus 0.5. Then again, when our input reaches 0.5, it switches state to on. Now I will show you how to make this 2-position controller into 3-position controller. So as I said in a previous video, 3-position controller is a combination, sum of two 2-position controllers. So you just copy this one, paste it, we of course have to sum them. A little connection. And change it all to this one to 0, switch on and off point, and the second one we can switch it on 0.5, 0.5. Same, because we don't have hysteresis here. Okay, apply. When we now run it, let's see what happens. We can see that our sine wave starts with 0, then the first relay is on, is switched on, as we see here. When our sine wave reaches 0.5, the relay 2 threshold, it turns itself on, switches the state to the on state. So the outputs sum, and we got this nice 2, the third state of our 3-state controller. Then again, it is like this until our input reaches 0.5. Then it's back to the second state, and until it's 0, its second state, then it changes to a 0 state. And the same here. When the input reaches 0, the first relay changes state to 1, and when input is 0.5, the second controller turns its stage to 1, then they sum up, and there's this nice 2. So what if we want hysteresis here? We can set it like this. Switch on point 0.5 and switch off point minus 0.5. And for a second, switch on point 1 and switch off point 0. So now we have for both of them nice hysteresis value 1. Let's see what happens if we run it. As we could expect, there's this little delay. So when the input starts at 0, our three-stage controller output is 0. Then after it reaches 0.5, the first controller's part switches on, so there's 1. And when our input reaches 1, the second relay switches on, there's this nice 2. And it's in its third state until our input reaches 0, which was a threshold for relay 1 to turn it off. And when the input reaches minus 0.5, this relay turns itself off and it's 0. So the sum of it is also 0. And again for the same, and it's periodical. So that's how you implement 2 and a 3-state controller with and without hysteresis in Matlab Simulink. Thank you and see ya in the next video.